Are you afraid of trying out van life because you're afraid of things that will break or breakdowns? Well, I think that's a pretty common thing for many people, but let me just say that you're just going to have to get over it. There are so many things that you can do to be sure that you don't have to spend a lot of money fixing things. And I'm going to talk to you about some of those today, at least two, maybe some bonuses. But first, let me say that I have lived in my van for almost 6 years. And during that time, I have spent literally thousands of dollars on repairs. But I have probably saved more in being able to figure out how to fix them myself than I did in the repairs that I did spend. And in my defense on that, the biggest expenses that I've had have been replacing a generator. I've actually replaced two, one in my other van and one in this van. And they were worn out. So they were nothing that could be fixed. So I had to buy new ones. Now, those things will happen. There's no question about that. But there are so many other things that will happen. Get over it. It will happen that you can take care of yourself. I fortunately have always been a little bit mechanically inclined. My dad taught me a lot of things, but that certainly does not mean I'm an expert on anything. But I have learned how to fix a lot of things. And let me just talk to you about a couple of mistakes that I've made and some victories that I've had. The first thing, I've had several things happen to me this week, and that's why I wanted to come on and talk to you about them, because I think it's a valuable lesson for both myself and maybe even for you. This week, I was driving a lot and I developed a noise. Do you know what I mean? It was a noise. Now, when you live in a van, I have learned that you can be fooled about where that noise comes from. I'm sitting up there in the front driving, and it sounds like the noise is coming from way back here or way back here, but I have learned that it could be coming from there or coming from there. So I never assume that it's coming from any particular place, but I developed a noise. And it sounded like it was coming from right back here. And it sounded like maybe a wheel bearing or maybe even a rear end. I know people that have had real wheel bearings and even a rear end breakdown in these kind of vans. So, but I didn't let my heart go because I wanted to figure it out myself. I have learned that if I have to take this, let's say I had this noise. Let's say I went to a shop to get it diagnosed. How much are shops costing nowadays by the hour? Maybe, the one I just went to was $155 an hour. If you have a noise, and it's going to same thing is going to happen to them. They're not going to know exactly where it's going to come from. So they're going to have to try to figure it out at $155 an hour. So I decided that before I took it anywhere, I was going to seriously try to figure out what was the matter with it, so that when I went there, I could at least eliminate some things so that they wouldn't have to do it. Although sometimes people in shops I get annoyed with, but that's okay. And I will tell you another thing, and that is lots of times you have repeatable offenses when you have things in your van. Something that happened once may very well happen again. As I listened to this noise, I've realized it didn't happen under 35 miles an hour. It didn't happen again after 55. So it was in this little space, and I'm racking my brain. What is that? What is that? What is that? And it came to me that there was one thing I should think about and try, because it happened to me before. And it was a simple thing. It was, I said, it was a hubcap is what it was. And every time I drove, it made this noise, but it was not coming from back here. It was my right front hubcap. How I figured it out was I went and looked, and it was loose. but I also noticed that one lug nut was missing. So I tightened them up and I went for a drive. It still made the noise. So I took a lug nut off on the other side and I put it on this side. And the noise went away. So 2 things to go with that was I had experience in the noise and I was willing to spend the time to try to figure out what it was before I took it to a shop. The next thing was I had the tool, to take the lug nuts off because they are with these big things and I had the tool. I was amazed. I had the tool. And so instead of me having to take it to a shop, spend $155 an hour trying to get it diagnosed, and then have them figure out it was the hubcap, I saved that money myself. So it cost me a total of $37 to do this because I had to buy some new lug nuts. And even though I only needed one, the smallest package was 24. So that one cost me $37, or it could have cost me a whole lot more. The second thing that happened was, and this is kind of in the other way, is my water pump broke. And I knew it did. It was on its last leg. You can tell it was. And so finally, I turned the water pump on. I turned the faucet on and crickets. Nothing. So I knew I had to have a new water pump. Now, I had 2 choices. I could try to figure out how to change the water pump myself by watching YouTube videos and Googling whatever I needed to do, or I could take it to a shop and have it fixed. In this case, I decided to take it to a shop and have it fixed. I also had a water leak coming from another place in my bathroom, and what turned into another leak under my sink. The reasons I decided to take it to a shop was, first of all, I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get to it if I did find it. And I just really didn't want to take the chance that I was going to get halfway through it and then have to take it to a shop anyway. So I decided to have it done. So I went to the shop. Sure enough, I had diagnosed it. It was the water pump. It did take us a while to find it because in a van, if you didn't build it out, you don't know where everything is. So it did take us a while to find it. So that was chalking up dollars. Anyway, it was way back here under my bed. So we had to take a bunch of stuff out, take it apart to get to the water pump. Got the water pump replaced. I had a leak in my bathroom, which could I have fixed that? Probably, but I didn't do it because I thought that the toilet needed to be reseated because it was leaking. And that one was, I didn't have a part. I didn't know what part to get. And it was messy. So I wanted to get somebody else to do it. But the leak actually was from a pipe in the back. So we replaced the pipe. It still leaked. In the meantime, while we were trying to find the water pump under the cabinet over here, he jiggled some pipes in there and that one started to leak. So I ended up going back to the shop 3 times, but I only paid for the first time. Well, this is what I learned about that though. And the pipe over there in the bathroom, I saw how he did that. That was going to be fine. If that happens again, I will know exactly what to do. Learn. You have to learn. The one that was leaking under here, they are, they go like this, and then they got these elbows like this, and there were clamps on them, and they were leaking. It was leaking at the clamps. So the first time he tightened up the clamps, and as soon as I started going down the road over those bumps, because remember, every time you go over a bump, some screws coming loose. And it did. It loosened up and it started to leak again. So I went back the next day and he tightened it up again. And this time I got an elbow, I got the clamps, and I got the information on what the special tool was that you had to have in order to fix it. So in the future, because again, we have repeatable offenses, there's a pretty good chance this is going to happen again. I have the elbow, I have the clamps, I know which tool it takes. Now the tool was $27. I did not buy it yet. If it breaks again, you have to have the tool in order to do it because they're special clamps. Instead of taking it to a shop and paying somebody $100, $200 to use their special tool to tighten that up, I have that in my Amazon wish list. And if it breaks again, all I'm going to do is order that tool and fix it myself. You may say, well, I can't do that. What if I make it worse? Well, how are you going to make it worse? You can't. It's already broken. So the worst thing that can happen is you're going to have to end up taking it to the shop. But if you do, you have to learn from what happened so that if it happens again, you can fix it. I have a lot of tools, special tools, like I had the one to take off the lug nuts. I have the drills. I have all these tools because my dad taught me if you have the right tools, the job is going to be much easier. So everything is figure outable, as Marie Forleo says, and it is true. Everything is figure outable. You're just going to have to decide which ones you want to pay for and which ones you want to do yourself. If you want to pay for them all, then it is going to be an expensive life to live in a van because things break. It's just the way of life. You're moving all the time. Things break. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this video today. Figure out if you can what the problem is first. Fix it if you can, and learn from what you took to get fixed. So when it happens again, because it will, then you'll be able to fix it yourself. So anyway, have a blessed day, and I hope this helped somebody out there save thousands of dollars, because learning this stuff has saved me thousands of dollars. So anyway, have a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow.